All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So in this one, I really wanted to ask the question, is this week's game against the Philadelphia Eagles a make or break for Zach Wilson? Right now, we're sitting at 2-3, and we know what the positives are with this football team, right? We play good defense. We have young pass rushers. We have young explosive playmakers, specifically in Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. And it's also a team with a bunch of veterans as well. But this is also a team that has their fair share of negatives, right? They come out slow every single week. They pretty much lose every single first quarter that they play in. They are not good on third down. In fact, they're the worst team in football on third downs, offensively speaking. And then they're also second worst in football in the red zone. So the positives are clear, the negatives are clear, and with the trade deadline quickly approaching, I believe it's actually on Halloween, if I'm not mistaken, funny enough, there's kind of a big question mark looming around this franchise, right? Are they going to be buyers? Are they going to be sellers? I feel like if we listen to the latest reports, it's suggesting that the Jets could be sellers, but there could be a situation where the Jets are buyers at the deadline. And we talked about it in the preview video, but imagine if the Jets win this weekend against the Eagles, right? They're undefeated. It's going to be an insanely difficult test, but it's the NFL. Any given Sunday, things happen, right? Nobody saw the Jets pushing the Chiefs to the limit, and there were a lot of things that went against, the Jets in that game. So, the point is, yes, the Eagles are the favorite going into this game, but it's not a sure thing, 100% locked. The Eagles are just going to go out there and win the game, right? The Jets have a chance. If they go out and do that, this football team is going to be 3-3 going into their bye week. Right. And for me, if I was a general manager, if I was, a head coach of a football team, I'm taking the bye week, or at least a portion of the bye week, to really assess the team, look at what has gone well, what has not gone well, look at potential additions, whether it's in the free agency market, whether it's in, like via trade or something like that. And luckily for the Jets, the trade deadline, again, October 31st, our bye week is coming pretty much right before that deadline. So, in other words, I think Joe Douglas has got to be asking this question during the off week here, right? Should the Jets be buyers or sellers? But the point of this video is with Zach Wilson, and it kind of how it ties into the trade deadline is because the two quarterbacks that we've seen pop up over and over and over again as potential trade targets this season, Kirk Cousins from the Minnesota Vikings, and then Ryan Tannehill of the Tennessee Titans. And of course, we can throw in, the mid to lower tier guys as well, like the Case Keenums of the world and whatnot. But this week against the Eagles is huge for Zach, right? Because this is, again, the week after the Philly game. This is the week that everything is being decided upon, right? Coming outside of the bye, I would like to have a pretty good understanding on where the Jets are kind of at this season and what direction that they, plan to go. Again, if we beat the Eagles, we have our bye week, we have the Giants after that. To me, that's totally a winnable game. I mean, there's a chance that we could be 4-3 with 24 hours before the trade deadline. That could be the deciding factor of what the Jets want to do moving forward. So again, when we specifically look at Zach Wilson, right, because we can talk about offensive linemen, we can talk about other positions. Personally, I do want to target an offensive lineman, whether it's through a trade or through free agency with like a Lyle Collins or something. But when it comes to Zach Wilson, if he goes out there and struggles against the Eagles and we hit the bye and then he potentially struggles again against the Giants or looks okay, could that send a message to Joe Douglas saying, okay, this is it. This is it. The trade deadline is here. We either roll with Zach for the rest of the season and we are saying we're okay with this and we're going to kind of remold the season from win now to develop Zach, because that's really, to me, what we would be doing if we don't want to make a quarterback move and we're okay seeing not so good quarterback play. Now, to Zach's credit, he's looked a lot better in weeks 4 and 5 compared to weeks 1 through 3. And quite frankly, the first 2 seasons of his career. But with Zach, there's no guarantee. Things could go well. Things could not go well. That's still up in the air. But with the trade deadline approaching and the Jets having 2 games left here to really make a decision, again, with that bye coming like right sandwiched in between, this is a monumental decision to Joe Douglas. I think I think it's clear right now that both Kirk Cousins and Ryan Tannehill would give the Jets maybe a better chance to win every single Sunday if they were the quarterback of this team. But if Zach goes out there and plays well against the Eagles, looks good against the Giants, now all of a sudden we're saying, okay, well, we've seen 4 solid weeks from Zach here. We've seen some improvement. We're going to just roll with him. We can stick with him. That's definitely a scenario that I could see, Joe Douglas wanting to go down, especially because he really showed a big lack of wanting to, bring in another veteran quarterback, whether it was, whether we're talking in the offseason or after Rodgers got hurt. They pretty much gave Zach Wilson the backup quarterback job, and it didn't really seem like they had a plan in place for if Aaron Rodgers were to go down. So that could very well be the case too. And I think also when we're talking about both Tannehill and Cousins, but Cousins more so, they both have a couple of questions or roadblocks, right? Contract size, compensation. Kirk Cousins obviously has the no trade clause. I also feel like with the Titans, they're more likely to move off a guy in Ryan Tannehill because they have 2 young guys in Will Levis and Malik Willis right behind him to step in, and they can kind of see what they have. Whereas Kirk Cousins, they have Nick Mullins, with the Vikings, they have Nick Mullins and Jaren Hall. And then if we look at these 2 team schedules, the Vikings are at the Bears this weekend, then home against the 49ers, then at Green Bay, pretty difficult stretch. And then with the Titans, they're in London against the Baltimore Ravens, at home against the Atlanta Falcons, and then at Pittsburgh Steelers. So I wonder if the front office is thinking to themselves, you know what? We have to see something positive from Zach in this game, right? We have to continue to see a build or gradual growth, if you will. We can't see regression because the deadline's approaching and we have got to make a decision. We have to. We're either going to keep Zach or we're going to be adding another quarterback. I could see both possibilities happening. I think one underrated benefit of adding a quarterback, no matter who it is, I think it will send a positive message to the locker room, to the other 52 players in the locker room saying, hey, we're about wins. We are dead serious about this season. We're not just wasting away. We're not just essentially punting on the year. We're all in. And we're going to really try to maximize this roster. And the reason why Tannehill and Cousins are both being talked about so much, not only are they just veterans, but they're both not in the long-term plans of their respected franchises, but also they're both on expiring contracts. So it's like literally a rental. It's not a Russell Wilson situation where you're looking down at the contract and you're like, man, we got like 4 or 5 more years left with with Russ in Denver. No, it's literally just a 9, 10, 11 game rental here. So that's, that could be a draw for obviously the teams to want to part ways with their, with those guys, but also on the flip side, Joe Douglas and the Jets saying, okay, well, obviously Rodgers is going to be coming back next season and he's already walking around and looking good. We don't want to add a quarterback that's on a 3-year contract. Right. So I think it makes sense from a lot of different areas. But again, I think this weekend will be critical. It will be huge to see or huge for Zach Wilson's future, at least for this season with the New York Jets. Right. If he goes out there and looks great, I think a lot of the quarterback rumors are going to be put to bed, considering who we're going to be playing. But if you flip it and he does not look good, I just have a hard time seeing the Jets saying, okay, we're not really liking what we're seeing this week against the Eagles. Now we have to sit on that for a bye week. Think about the trade deadline. Obviously see what, the other quarterback situations, like how the other QB situations pan out. Do we want to then risk it all in the Giant game and then based off of one football game, either pull off a trade for a quarterback or keep Zach Wilson? It's just the waters get muddy, right? So I think this game is huge. I think this game is absolutely huge, and I would love to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section. And also, do you want the Jets to make a move here at the quarterback position? I think a lot of people are in unison with wanting to upgrade the offensive line. I think upgrading that unit is 100% clear as day, but with quarterback, that's obviously something that can make some noise in the AFC and frankly NFL too. That can cause a shift in power. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. And as always, go Jets.